For all manufacturing conglomerates, one of the top priorities is how do you build productive, smart factories that are future ready? How do you leverage industrial IoT, cloud, AI, mixed reality? How do you get people, assets, workflows, business processes to all somehow be connected and seamless? Well, who better to tell us than Manish Gupta, Group CIO of the Aditya Birla Group, and also Aashish Kshetry, who's the VP IT and HR at Asian Paints. Thank you both so much for joining us. Let me just start off by getting your opening thoughts on that. How do you build the factories of the future? What is it that you should be keeping in mind? Manish, do you want to start with that?
We all are talking about Industry 4.0 and how industries are changing and how do you really leverage the data, AI, IoT, and AR, VR, and all kinds of technologies which are available. I think there's one fundamental which is not changing, which is about connecting the man, the method, the machines, and the material together. And now we have digital as well. And when you overlay all of these things, then the magic starts happening. But at the same time, we must realize that we must not overwhelm people who work on the ground, on the shop floors. And today, the data, which is actually embedded in the machines, embedded in the papers, embedded in the, what you call the tribal knowledge somewhere, now can be extracted. And with intelligence, you can actually gain a lot of insights, which you can apply back in your decision making. Initially we had control systems, we had systems in the lines, we had MES systems, and so on and so forth. But today, I think the power of computing, and especially the cloud, and what you can have on the edge as well, I think the quantum of these technologies and the application has changed really. So for me, it's a big change in the way factories are going to be run. With the newly acquired intelligence and automation coming on the shop floor. But we'll have to integrate all the existing factors around the man and the machine and the material. And then I think we'll be doing justice to this entire thing.
Ashish, what would be your opening thoughts? Is that the core of it? You do this IoT, you put sensors into everything, and you try and figure out how they are managing and how they are regulating each other, and you get data out of that. Is that the core of it?
I would only say that it's not only about setting up the factory, the smart factory, but running it is equally important, right? A lot of the investments go in just setting up a smart factory, but it's really the capacity utilization and what insights you are really able to get from that, which will really define the way the benefit comes back to the organization. So it's a lot to do with how you are running the factory, ensuring that the sensors, the IoT, the data that is feeding into the people who are looking at it, and maybe algorithms which are looking at it, and improving on it continuously. So it's not only about setting it up one time, but continuously innovating as you go along to really get the benefits for the long term. I think that's the real future for the smart factories.
Okay, so let me take you further on that, Ashish. So obviously, I guess the first and the overarching thing that has to be looked at if you're looking at how you're making factories of the future would be to improve operational efficiency, right? I mean, that I guess would be the number one you have to look at. So how does that work? How do you get more operational efficiency by using all of these technologies?
Yeah, so I can relate to one or two examples, right? So in a complex manufacturing setup, you'll have complex interdependencies. So for example, some of our factories would have, for example, 8,000 valves, right, which are controlling the material liquid flow across various components in the factory. So even if say 4% of them are not working at the optimum level, you are going to lose throughput and your capacity will come down. So what's really IoT providing me is, which of those 4% out of those 7,000 are misfiring today, and I need to go and fix them. Be able to, ensure that I'm proactive about it, and also ensure that it doesn't recur again. So I think these are the elements which which data analytics can really pull out using, as you said, the sensor technologies to be able to swift through all of this and really figure out where the problems are, and and continuously ensure that the throughputs are maintained.
Okay, how you can fix maintenance and all that would presumably also tie into this. Which machines need maintenance, which do not need maintenance. Manish, any other strong use cases that you can think of when it comes to operational efficiency?
No, absolutely. In fact, the way we are looking at factories of the future is one is the smart element, what can be done smartly by using IoT, etc. But we're also looking at safe and sustainable manufacturing at the same time, because technology can help our workers to be safe. And that's one area where I think there are multiple use cases. I want to give an example. We have lots of chemical factories, and somewhere the cleaning of the tank, which was done manually, which was hazardous, now can be done, by a robot. And then you can also, maintain those by using the data you're collecting from robots. We are using drones for many cases where it was not possible for human beings to go, and especially in confined spaces. How do you increase the worker safety? So while there's a lot of thought going on the smart piece of it, how do you make the machine smarter and your manufacturing smarter? I think I'll just like to add the safety and the sustainability part to this entire equation as well.
Right. That's a really interesting point. Ashish, you must be having the same thing. I mean, Asian Paint, there's so many chemicals that a paint company would be using. Is safety an important aspect of it, which does get enhanced with the use of advanced technology?
Absolutely. I think we may make smart factories, but the interface of man and machine will never go away. And it's also about training. It's about equipping people when they come in to understand to manage technology elements of this nature. Putting in a lot of interlocks into the control systems to ensure that there is safety is paramount for people working in the factory. So I think. It's always first, it's inbuilt into the design, and that's the advantage that you get by putting in a lot of automation. I'd just like to add on sustainability. Mechanisms to reduce wastage is something that the smart factories are really enabling it. Providing insights into where is the loss really coming from and how to control it. I think those are elements which sensors, measurement mechanisms, and the ability to swift through large volumes of data. It could be simple things like energy consumption, which is really, so important for the economy in that sense. So, to find out the sources of inefficiencies there and control it. So I think, safety and sustainability would be top priorities that any smart factory can really enhance, from an overall perspective.
Right. Manish, the other thing which we sometimes hear is obviously when you're using technology, your supply chain management becomes better, but also the time to market for a new product. It can be sharply reduced if you're actually using, digital ways or digital modeling to be able to look at what the future holds. Is that something that you're finding?
Planning and integrated planning, where you can start, integrating your manufacturing with the planning itself. And one of the things one can do now is co-creation and working closely with your customers as well, which definitely, improves your time to market and also reduces any kind of rejection which might happen and improve customer satisfaction at the same time. So I think there are multiple ways one can do that. And second is, how do you start now integrating your suppliers into everything you do? So you can extend your manufacturing not only to yourself, but to your contractors, to your suppliers, to your logistics providers, and everybody. And that's where the power of integration, power technology starts coming in. And when you start removing the waste from the system, everybody benefits. And one more thing I want to highlight is I think a lot of time people mistake it as something which will reduce manpower. I think it will make our people smarter. It will make them, proactive, make them agile. And also one of the things we'll all need to learn is to deal with transparency in everything. Because when supply chain starts becoming very transparent, though it's very good for the customer, but it has its own share of pressure, which probably we are not used to. And this transparency will also start throwing some very different kind of challenges in the future when more and more smart factories come in. And I think we'll all need to learn to deal with it. Answer is overwhelmingly yes. that is going to, improve a lot of things, and especially on the customer side as well.
Okay. Actually, anything you want to add when it comes to supply chain management or to what Manish was saying? And also one slightly related question. Sometimes I hear people saying that the really smart factories would be ones that also give you a lot of flexibility on the factory floor itself, right? So a really smart factory should be able to be very agile and go from one product to the other quite fast. Is that a concept that you agree with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as Manish was mentioning, consumer demand and choices are changing fast. So the ability to come about with newer products and transparency coming into manufacturing can be can really enhance the time to market, right, and bring in that agility. So yeah, changing the product mixes, looking at new raw materials, and the ability to clean systems and get them faster to come out with new products is definitely something that a smart factory or a automated factory can do much better than what we were doing 5 to 7 years back. The other thing, just on the on the supply chain management, also it's about as Manish was mentioning on transparency. Earlier you could react to a demand situation over a longer period, over a month horizon. So now with the with the supply disruptions as well as demand changing much faster, the smart factories can also be agile in reacting and getting changeovers much quicker on the shop floor. So, you can do it on a daily basis rather than a longer horizon. So that's the other agility that some of, these advanced manufacturing systems will bring.
And if I may add to what just Ashish was saying, I think now we have the ability to do mass customization as well, which I think is a big differentiation, because earlier our factories were very fixated in terms of what products they're going to supply. But with changing demand, changing personalization, they can help. For example, there is additive manufacturing. You can look at 3D printing, and which can help really personalize some of the things, and also at scale. I think the future will be personalization at scale, and this is where smart factories will play a big role. And I think it's also will depend on the imagination of a lot of us, because we have all been trained in the era where manufacturing was supposed to be done in a particular way. But I think with future generations coming and new technologies, they will start completely remodel these concepts, and we'll see a lot of disruption as well.
Okay. Just last question from me would be to look at the workforce, look at the, let's say take the Aditya Birla Group, we've got so many, employees everywhere. Two, three aspects of it, you have to, I guess, figure out ways of how do you use technology to get them all to collaborate and communicate and better ways of managing them and getting them all to interact, especially in a hybrid setting. But also, Manish, the constant need or desire to give them skilling to make sure that they know how to utilize the new technologies and the new ways of doing things that are coming in. I'm sure both of them would be very high in your priority list.
No, absolutely. Training is a must. And the good news is now we have also started using some very advanced technologies for training, like AR, VR. We can now simulate the real life situation for our people where they don't need to be trained on the real machine. They can be trained very well on simulators. We can look at skill building by constant training by the experts. Also could be done in a virtual way, for example. We can have remote training by using sophisticated technology and simulations, which we have started trying in our companies at the moment. With these technologies, we're also helping workers act very safely, and for example, via mines, and how can we protect them, by putting devices around them, which can alert them in any dangerous situation, etc., are really helping them. So I think we need to take our workforce along, and first we need to really care for them. How do we make their life better? And if we do that, I think rest of the program works very well. If we start with any other motive, I think the factories will not be as successful or as not smart. So we have to care for the workers first.
Ashish, training the workers, skilling the workers, and giving them the tools that they need to collaborate well, and especially, I mean, in this new hybrid sort of a world that we are seeing.
I think the pandemic has really taught a lot of us, how to work remotely. But on the point of training and technologies like AR and VR, so that the people get the real experience of working on machines before actually touching them, I think is a big element that these factories automation can really provide, and it does. You're also getting in new workforce on a continual basis, so I think that's important that the learning never stops. Some of these automated factories are also very advanced in nature, so it does take people time to understand the intricacies, and as very rightly said, safety is paramount. That comes first. You have to provide the tools, you have to provide the culture.
All right, it's really been fascinating insights from both of you on what it will take to build the factories of the future. And I guess all of this is work which is on, right? We're talking about being future ready. This is a future which I assume is not that far away. So it's great that so much work has already started on these fronts. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.